this off real quick. Welcome back. So, one type of miracle that we did not look at last session, but that is important to understand on its own for its greater impact in the Gospels, is that which deals with exorcisms. Why? First of all, because of what an exorcism is. What is an exorcism? What's the basic definition?
Getting rid of demons.
No, those are two different things. An exorcism is the expelling of a demon, which is different than sin. We'll look at some of that. And so, first of all, what it is, but also what it deals with, which is that it deals with demons. Well, but what is a demon, though? What comes to mind when you hear the word demon or demons? What comes to mind?
Fallen angel.
Fallen angel. Others?
An evil entity.
What kind of entity?
An evil entity.
Evil entity. Okay. Others? Satan's minions. Yeah, it can be very true. So first of all, we need to understand demons in the greater hierarchy of being. Demons are, first of all, related to angels. What is an angel? Angels are spiritual creatures. And what I mean by that is that they are creatures without physical bodies. They are spiritual in the sense that they are spirits. We human beings have bodies. This creation, this universe that we encounter, is physical. That was fly season already. This creation, this universe is physical. It is able to be touched and to be experienced by the corporeal senses, the bodily senses. Angels and their lesser cousin, as it were, the demons, are both spiritual creatures. So they do not have physical bodies like you and I do. But yet they are still individuated beings. You can kind of see them as being between God and humanity. They are, in a certain sense, higher than humanity. Why? Because, first of all, they are immortal from their very creation. They never die. They never change either. They learn, apprehend, and understand at a far higher rate than we do. They exist also more in correspondence to God in the sense that being spiritual beings, they relate to God more because God is spirit. And yet they are not God. They are not. The angels are those that serve and obey God. They are called angels from the Greek angelos, which in general means a messenger. So, for example, among the Greek gods, there was Hermes, who was the angelos of Zeus, the messenger of Zeus. Or errand boy, you could say it as that, kind of that, although there's a little demeaning to the actual angels. Not Hermes, maybe, but the actual angels, yes. The angels completely and totally serve God. The demons do not. Just as angels are called angelos from the Greek, demons are called so from the Greek daimon. Gesundheit. Which kind of means a spiritual being. So whereas the angels serve God, do his command, do his bidding, the demons do not. The mythos, as it were, the story that is told within the Bible, and even Jesus himself talks about it, is that at their creation, at the beginning of their existence, the angels and demons are both before God. And all of them, all being equally spiritual creatures, must make a choice to serve God or not to serve him, to worship him or to reject him. The angels all choose to worship and serve God. The demons reject. The famous line in John Milton's Paradise Lost, as Lucifer, Satan, shouts out, "Non serviam," I will not serve. And his cohorts join him. Yes, sorry.
So could we say demons serve Satan, or is that not correct?
It is not necessarily the same. There is a sort of hierarchy, as it were, or as C.S. Lewis famously coined, the lowerarchy. But being rebellious creatures, why would they obey someone else? There is some correspondence. I don't want to make it sound like they're all just so rebellious. There is some correspondence, but it is far looser than the angels in their ministration to God, with and for and to God. Yeah, sorry.
And it works more like you could be possessed by a minor demon or a more powerful one.
Yes, but we'll get to possessions and all that. Haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. So, the demons rejected, and because of their rejection of God, they are banished from eternity, from heaven, I should say. They are banished from the presence of God. Why? Because nothing unclean can exist in the presence of God. Nothing unclean. So they're cast out. But by even their original resistance, the plan of God is intruded upon. I'll phrase it that way. Now, of course, the chiefest of the demons, the lowest, as it were, in the lowerarchy, is the one who is often called Satan or called Lucifer. We have already encountered him. The one who was the tempter in the desert. He has, of course, many titles or names. Satan is not necessarily a name per se. It is a Hebrew word. It's a translation. It means the adversary or the accuser, because it's very much what Satan does to humanity, to accuse them of their crime before God. Look what they've done. They disobeyed. You punished me, so you need to punish them. He's also called Lucifer in some other passages. Lucifer is from Latin. It means the light bearer. Why? Because he is said to be among the highest ranks of the angels. Hence why his fall is the greatest. Being so high in the hierarchy, he falls to the depths of the lower hierarchy. He is also called the devil.
Professor Straub,
Yes.
wasn't he also one of Jesus's best friends?
That is not clear from the scriptures.
Okay, because I
Jesus
thought
in some way knows of Satan and the devil. Whether they were besties or not is not necessarily known.
okay.
So he's called the devil, which comes from the Greek diabolos, which is still maintaining some languages. For example, Spanish, he's called El Diablo. That means one who is a slanderer. That's what diabolos means in general. It doesn't mean devil. As you know, it becomes devil in our language. But originally, it means one who is a slanderer, a liar, a con man. And then there are, of course, references to other demons in some lesser way or some lesser rank. For example, Beelzebub, which was another Jewish name. It's used only in Mark, actually, among the Gospels.
And that's separate from Satan.
It seems unclear. Perhaps it is referring to Satan, perhaps it's referring to another one. It's not as clear. Beelzebub literally means Lord of the Flies. Or Beelzebul means the Lord of Dung, feces. But with these demons and these angels, it is a reality known and understood well within the Jewish religion of old, and even to a great extent even now. Why? Because these demons, led by the Satanas, the adversary, the accuser, tries to undo and to ruin everything that God wants. It is, of course, by his trickery and his wicked cunning that in part our first parents, Adam and Eve, fell. Though still, there is some blame on them as well. It's not a free pass to just, it's all Satan's fault. Which is what happens, by the way. Adam blames Eve, Eve blames the serpent. Instead of taking the blame for themselves. Pride. Pride takes all things down. The angels, as the angeloi, the messengers, the runners for God, are there to aid in his work of creation. The demons, who have rejected that do the opposite. They go against that work of creation. And by the way, these sides cannot change. An angel cannot become a demon, nor can a demon become an angel. Why? Because they are spiritual creatures. Spirit does not change. We change because we are physical beings. That has an effect on our soul as well. Right? We grow smarter, right? Supposedly. I think that's true for me. We understand more, or we have greater range, or greater freedom, or greater mobility, and things like that. That doesn't happen for spiritual creatures. They are the same as they ever were. Same as it ever was. Even though the days go by, nothing will change for them. Their decision is eternal. The angels will always serve God. The demons will always oppose him. It is humanity who has the greater freedom, because humanity can change. Which is, of course, what they try to corrupt. This is very much understood in looking at the miracles that are exorcisms. That word itself, by the way, is a Latin word. Which comes from the verb exorcizo, which in that context literally means I command. Which in fact is always one of the two first words usually used in a form of exorcism in the Catholic rituals. Exorcizo te, I command you. No, I don't know the whole ritual. No, I'm not even going to tell it to you. Curiosity will kill the cat in more ways than one. But what is happening with these exorcisms is that these demons have an influence in the human world. And the way they do it most involved with these exorcisms is what is known as possession. Is it two pairs of S's? That's why I hate the English language. It's so confusing. You learn all these other languages, and they all speak well, and then you get to English, and you hate it. You hate it all. Rant aside. What is possession? Possession is a human being losing control of their body and a demon in some way gaining control. It can in some ways be forced upon the human being or tricked, but it can also be freely granted. So an exorcism is the driving out of this demon from an individual. To loosen the demon's control over the body. To expel them, in fact, from the body. And while there may be some vague references in the Old Testament to things like this is very much a defining feature of Jesus' ministry. In a certain way, even more so than the other miracles we looked at, the healing miracles and the nature miracles. Why? What was the point of a miracle? What was the twofold purpose?
Healing and revelatory power.
Revelatory. demonstrating, revealing God's power, along with healing. This is very much true in an exorcism. Exorcisms always have both of those purposes. The other miracles can perhaps be one of the two. Exorcism is both. It heals the human person. Why? Because they regain full control of their own person, including their body. Number two, reveals the power of God. There is only one authority over demons. It is no human being. It is God. Because we must understand that even though these two may stand on the opposite sides, it is not an equal battle of good and evil. Both sides are not equal. Even as much as the demons, including Satan himself, have rejected God, God is still in control. We must always reject the kind of false dichotomy that God and Satan are equals. Not true. Not true at all. In fact, Satan's equal is an angel. Satan's equal is not God. Satan is still beneath God. Satan's equal, as it were, amidst the angels, is the one known as Michael. How do we know that? From his very name, which is a mockery of Satan. For in Hebrew it means, who is like unto God? Or who is like God? Who is similar to God? It's a mockery. So it's looking at Satan mocking him. What do you mean? You're not. You're not like God in any way.
You're not talking about Michael the Archangel, are you?
Michael the Archangel, yes.
Really?
Yes. Satan is not equal to God. God is above all, including Satan. And this will be seen in the various exorcisms that Jesus does. Yes?
Is there a hierarchy of angels like there is demons like under Satan?
I'm sorry.
Is there a hierarchy of angels under like demons under Satan?
There is traditionally seen in Catholic theology a hierarchy of angels. Just as there is a hierarchy of being, there is kind of tradition. There's normally said to be kind of 9 choirs of angels. I don't know them off the top of my head. But yes, there is normally a hierarchy within angels. And each of them with their specific task, their specific purpose. So, answer your question. Good. Yes, sir.
Since the angels are spirits, humans upon their death, do they become angels?
No. No. Angels and humans are 2 different creatures. So I'm sorry, don't ever tell anyone, especially if you're a Catholic, believe something else, fine. If you're a Catholic, don't ever tell anyone, oh, God just needed another angel in heaven. No. Humans do not become angels. We are still human beings. In a certain sense, lesser human beings. And we'll kind of talk about that maybe when we talk a little bit more, looking at the New Testament. But no, especially in Catholic theology, no. Human is a human is a human. You do not change into a higher or lower being. Humans remain humans even after death. Okay? Answer the question? Sounds good.
What do we
It's,
become after?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What do we become after death then, unless?
After death, we remain disembodied souls until the resurrection of the dead. We'll talk about a little bit more of that as we go later in the class.
Okay.
We're getting there. We're halfway through. There's still a lot to cover there, and we'll talk about that near the end of class. But the witness of the demons is very important in reading the New Testament, reading the Gospels in particular. They offer, as it were, the greatest witness to who Jesus is. And they offer it, in a sense, in a sort of counter witness. They are the ones who cry out at Jesus, almost as it were, begging him not to send them away. Calling him the Holy One of God, or calling him the Son of God. They're not doing it, though, because they serve him. In a sense, they kind of do, but that's not their purpose. Their purpose is they're trying to avoid being sent back to hell. So in their attempt to try to ruin what Jesus is doing, that they try to say, oh, well, I know who you are. I know. And I'm going to tell them all, because you don't want them to know. Still does not deter Jesus. He still overcomes them. The language and what is done by Jesus is very interesting to see. So in doing exorcisms, he may use verbs such as to rebuke one. We saw that kind of earlier in looking at those previous miracles. A rebuke is to confront or to challenge one. So when Jesus rebukes a demon, he is confronting and challenging that demon. He will also command them to be silent. As I said before, they're usually shouting, crying out, sometimes literally demonic screams. But he will tell them to be quiet, to speak no more. Lastly, he will cast them out. Language almost kind of fishing-like language. To cast them out of the person. So to force the demon to leave, to vacate, to escape the body. One thing to always note in reading any account, and reading all the accounts Jesus has of the demonic or the exorcisms, Jesus does not ever touch one who is possessed, one who is a demoniac. This means one who has a demon in them. A possessed person, in other words. Jesus does not touch any of the demoniacs. We saw in those previous accounts, we saw how Jesus touches or is touched by those who are in need of healing. That, by the way, is actually one of the worries of that woman with the hemorrhage. Because she had that issue of blood, she was considered ritually unclean. And if that was revealed, that would have meant supposedly that Jesus was unclean and thence had to go through purification rituals. Jesus touched the girl, right? Took up her hand. She was dead. You don't deal with the dead for a certain period of time. Or if you do, you become ritually unclean and have to be repurified. And yet, Jesus heals all of them. Not becoming unclean, but making them clean. However, Jesus never touches any of the demoniacs. Never. Why? Because the divine never touches that which is most evil, or that which most rejects, is most against. So let's look at an example. Probably the best one here. We'll look at the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, the first verses 1 through 20. This is also found of course, found in Matthew. Matthew 8, 28 to 34. Luke 8, 26 to 31. Right up here, more visible. So Jesus comes to the other side of the sea. So again, traveling by boat to the country of the Gerasenes. Who the Gerasenes are is not really that clear. When Jesus came out of the boat, Mark writes, there met him out of the tomb a man with an unclean spirit who lived among the tombs. So talk about unclean among the unclean. A demoniac living among the dead. No one could bind him, not even with chains. So this being possessed makes him uncontrollable by humans. He had often been bound with fetters and chains. With the chains wrenched apart, the fetters he broke in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. So showing how strong he was. Night and day among the tombs, crying out, bruising himself with stones. Yes, it is possible that some of these exorcism stories may be more mental disorders. It is possible. That cannot be denied. But some of them are so powerful that there must be admitted, and even psychiatrists, the honest ones, will even admit that there is something more going on. For example, even in the Catholic Church today, exorcisms are done at times with consultation from psychologists. Some people just need help, therapy, whatever. Some people need more. We'll see as he continues. When this man with the unclean spirit saw Jesus from afar, he ran, he worshipped him. He worships him, but then cries out, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" Calling him by what he is, Son of God, Son of the Most High, a title very much attributed to the Jews. He says, "I adjure you, I implore you, by God, do not torment me." How is Jesus tormenting him? For Jesus said to him, Come out of the man, you unclean spirit. So just using his voice, Jesus asks him, he says, what is your name? Remember, names in the ancient world have immense authority, more so in the spiritual. To have someone's name is to be able to have some sort of authority over them. If I can say your name instead of going, hey you, or hey you, or hey you, or hey you, I can command you more, even more so in the spiritual. So what is your name? Jesus asks this unclean spirit. The reply he gives, Legio. My name is Legion, for we are many. Legio is not a Greek word. It is a Latin word. It is a military term as well. It was the largest gathering of military the Romans had. You know, there were groups of 100, which were led by a centurion, a captain of 100. And then there were legios, thousands. That's signifying how many there are. This is not just a couple. This isn't a couple dozen. This isn't even a couple hundred. Thousands of demons. A whole legio, a legion of demons. This legion of demons begging Jesus to spare them, not to send them out of the country. Now nearby, a great herd of swine, which goes to show that we're in non-Jewish land. The Jews then and the Jews now don't deal with swine in any way and anyhow. It's an unclean animal, which seems very ritually unclean, which seems very fitting for what will happen. A great herd of swine feeding there. They, the legion, begs, send us to the swine, let us enter them. Don't dispel us all the way, just send us in there. He says, fine. Gives him, do it. Do as you wish. Then the clean spirits, they come out, they enter the swine, the herd. How many? 2,000. The whole entire herd is possessed by this legion, and all of them rush down the bank into the sea and are drowned. So eventually they are forced and driven out of the country. Now, of course, that frightens the herdsmen, those who have been working with these. They flee, they go into the nearby city. They say what's going on. Everybody's curious. They're interested. They come out. They encounter this Jesus, and they also encounter that demoniac, the former demoniac, whom they knew very well as that, clothed in his right mind, not screaming, not beating himself, not running wild. Calm, collected, clothed. And what happens? They're afraid. They don't understand. They don't know what is happening. In fact, they're so afraid, even after being related, they began to beg Jesus to leave. They are deeply disturbed, perturbed by all of this. And they ask Jesus to leave. And he does. However, as he's getting into the boat, the demoniac, the man formerly possessed, he begs Jesus. He says, stay here. Stay with me. Jesus does not accept. He declines that request. He tells the man, go home to your friends. Go home to those who know you. He says, and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. And that's what he did. He began to proclaim in the Decapolis, the 10 cities. Deca, 10, polis, cities. So some sort of Greek-speaking area. He goes in the Decapolis telling how much Jesus had done for him, and all men marveled. All men marveled. One of the few instances where Jesus does, in fact, encourage someone to proclaim, to announce what has happened. Yes?
Is that because they're not in Israel?
Most likely, yes. Most likely being this land of the Gerasenes, which seems to be a non-Jewish land. That, yes, that's probably most likely. Yes?
Is that ever explained why all the pieces that were possessed by Legion drowned?
Well, if you take any body and put it underwater and it can't breathe, it'll drown. Or I guess, what do you ask?
Why did they choose to drown themselves?
It could, that is perhaps not as clear. It could still be the command of Christ to show them truly being expelled. The text itself does not make that clear, nor necessarily do the other ones. But most likely, probably still the command of Christ. So, yes, question, sorry.
I was just going to say, the Legion, considering it's kind of used in more Roman terms, is that significant because during this time of Jewish occupation with Rome and stuff, is that like important to the, honestly, Jews didn't like Roman very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of.
I would say in this particular case, even though this is written in Greek, and Greek is still at this point the more popular, more known language, that's showing the influence of Rome. It is definitely showing the influence. What's the largest term that we can think of militarily? A legio, a legion. Not perhaps maybe as far as you were saying. There could be something there in a sort of different kind of reading it in a different sense, or reading it in a more spiritual way. But I would say the use of legio there is just, this is the best way to explain it in a, how big of a group are we talking? Okay? Again, other questions, other thoughts, comments on that? One other way that this comes up is not in the context of an exorcism, but in the context of Jesus himself. Where does this power of Jesus come from? Or what power does he use? So we'll see here, Mark chapter 3, 22 to 30. Matthew, more of 24 to 30. And Luke, what's in Luke? 11, 15, and 23. We'll look at it in Mark's account since we're already in Mark. Three, 22. So we see kind of the setup before this. We see Jesus gathering and giving authority to his disciples. We kind of looked at that a little bit last week, even highlighting who will be the one who betrays him, always listed last, by the way, just as we highlighted, Simon Peter is always listed first. Again, the one who is the head of those apostles, and the one who is the anti-head. So Jesus goes home, crowds all come together, he can't even eat. This Mark and realism again. His family heard it, they went out to see some people were saying, he is beside himself. He's crazy. He's just crazy. Some scribes, remember, a scribe is one who is a writer. These scribes are also commentators. Since they are copiers of the law of the Old Testament, they have intimate knowledge because, they've been copying the same passages for years. So they begin to become commentators. They offer commentary or interpretation, I should say, on these various passages. So there's a group of scribes who come from Jerusalem to where Jesus is. They say, he is possessed by Beelzebub, the prince of dung. Beelzebub. And by the prince of demons, by that lower being, he casts out the demons. So what they are saying is Jesus does all of this not because he has a divine authority. He does it because he has a lower authority. The kind of ultimate con. It's like, oh, I send you out. Oh, no, they cast me out. Oh, this Jesus is so powerful. Kind of the ultimate lie is what it's supposed to be. The ultimate con man is what they're arguing. He is not from God, he is from Satan, is what they are saying. So Jesus challenges them, calls out to them. And he speaks parables. He doesn't come straight out and say it. He speaks in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? How can Satan be so forceful against himself? And if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. If Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but is coming to an end. So Jesus is comparing this to these foundational structures. If you're saying I'm laicist, then you're saying I am in some way propping up the kingdom of Satan or the house of Satan. But if I am commanding them to go away in a forceful way, that's what cast out means. Jesus doesn't kind of ask. Jesus commands. He says, go out, be gone. So if he's acting in this malicious way, but you claim that he is Satan, then the kingdom is divided. And no kingdom can stand like that. Or a house. They cannot stand. They cannot remain in power and authority for long. He offers up a little bit more of a parable. 27 and following. No one can enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds the strong man, then indeed he may plunder his house. This is an interesting one. No one can enter a strong man's house and plunder unless he first binds the strong man. Who is the strong man in this parabolic phrase? What are the possibilities here to interpret this? Let's see if we can interpret. Who could be the strong man?
The demon.
What'd you say?
The demon.
Demon. Let's say Satan. Who else? Who else could be the strong man?
It could be referring to Jesus.
Could be referring to Jesus, right?
I'm guessing like the father of that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said like the father of the household, maybe,
Yeah.
or like the guardian.
Perhaps. In this specific context, in the context in which he's speaking, the two most likely candidates are Satan and Jesus, as far as the strong man. Does this phrase make sense if it's used for Jesus as the strong man? So no one can enter, if we replace strong, no one can enter Jesus' house and plunder his goods unless he first binds Jesus. Does that seem to fit the context? What about if we replace it with Satan? No one can enter Satan's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds Satan.
I think it works both ways, since they're saying he is possessed by Satan. Jesus could be saying, in that case, Satan would have to bind the Son of Man or the Son of God before he could possess him.
Which seems the stronger one in this specific context?
Satan.
Yes. The strong man here is Satan. Jesus, in a certain sense, paints himself as a thief who is entering, intruding upon the strong man, Satan, and is plundering his goods. What are the goods of Satan? What did Satan say was all his in the temptation?
The world.
World. All of it. I possess all these kingdoms, he says to Jesus. And they can be all yours if you worship me, right? So his goods are creation, stolen as it were. You are right, Don. You could see this, first of all, in the more ancient sense as Satan doing this, binding the strong man, who is God, and plundering his goods. You can also see it as Jesus doing it back. Nice little reverse. Reverse, just played right. Jesus is entering Satan's house and is plundering his goods, but he must bind that strong man. He must restrain him. Jesus must restrain Satan. And then he can plunder his house of all that actually belongs to Jesus, not to Satan. The strong man did this first, but the stronger one overcomes. Jesus then speaks not in a parabolic way, but in a more serious way. Truly I say to you, or amen I say to you, all sins will be forgiven whenever blasphemies they utter, but whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin. What is this blasphemy against the Holy Spirit? First of all, what's blasphemy? What's blasphemy? Yeah?
Words or actions spoken against one's God.
Words, usually words, spoken, and sometimes can be actions, done against the good name of a deity. So in the Christian context, these are things done against the good God, the one God. So this blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, it's one that's often argued in the commentarial tradition of the Christianity. What does it seem that it is most likely in this specific context that we've been looking at? What's the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit? There?
That he's like the possessed by. Yeah.
Mark comments on it. For they had said he has an unclean spirit. The blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, against God, is to say that Jesus is not holy, but is in fact the opposite. a daimon, a diablo. To reject him and to call him an unclean spirit is the blasphemy, the sin against the Holy Spirit. And is truly unforgivable. Why? Because who would ask forgiveness of an unclean spirit? No Christian ever asks forgiveness of the demons. So why would one who believes Jesus has or is an unclean spirit ask for his forgiveness? But in very strong words, Jesus rebukes this idea of him being Beelzebub, being Satan, being an unclean spirit. He is not from below, he is from above. Comments, thoughts, questions on any of that?
Would those guilty of that eternal sin just be stuck in purgatory?
No, there is no forgiveness. Eternal sin. Why? Because they cannot ask for forgiveness. So it is a damnable offense for whoever does it.
So basically what it's saying is the only sin that can't be forgiven is the one you do not ask to be forgiven.
In a more general sense, yes. Because you would
Which
not.
would therefore be doubting the Spirit's ability to forgive you.
Yeah, because you say he's not filled with the Holy Spirit, he's not working with the Holy Spirit, he is the opposite, he is an unclean spirit.
So you could say that sin particularly with the big overall one is doubt, is no faith.
More like the opposite of faith. You know, the absence of faith is not the denial of Jesus. So it's an anti-faith. It is to believe Jesus is truly evil. That's what I'm trying to say.
So basically, blasphemy is, out of all of them, the most unforgivable.
Well, blasphemy is calling God basically opposite of what he is, of what God is.
Ah, okay. But in other words, like that's the only thing that can't be forgiven. Like you won't basically be able to get into heaven.
You cannot be forgiven of that because you will not ask for forgiveness of that.
Okay. So it's something that basically can't be forgiven because that you knew what you said.
Yes. If
Okay.
you remain in this spirit of seeing Jesus as the opposite of what he is, you cannot ask for forgiveness of that. Because why would you ask that of something that is unclean, that is evil?
But as long as you recognize him as the Lord our God, and any other sins or anything else.
Anything, he says here, all sins will be forgiven, whatever blasphemies even they utter, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, because that is rejecting, in fact, the prompting of the Holy Spirit to say who and what Jesus is.
It's kind of confusing, but it makes sense in a way.
Yeah, sure.
So even the most wretched of people
Can be, and I want to emphasize that. Can. There is a possibility. It is not automatic.
be forgiven of all their sins.
Yeah, they can be, yeah. All sins can be forgiven. Except that. It is in a certain way you could say the sin of presumption. You think you know better. All right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Wasn't that what basically the devil was cast out for? Because he thought
The devil rejects. The devil says, I will not serve. That's different.
Oh, I thought he knew better. He said he knew more, wanted to do his way.
He didn't say, all the angels know what God Well, know in a general sense what God will do. But the devil and all the demons say, I will not do that. I will
Okay.
not serve.
Okay, so they basically reject his sayings and what
Yeah, because they, in a certain sense, this is the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, because they reject God for being God.
Okay.
So that shows that's the eternal sin. Satan is the one who is definitely one who commits it, but human beings can commit it as well. All right. Now, of course, it may not be blasphemies and sins, but in the mind of every college student, of course, the one thing that can never be forgiven is having to take exams.
Good segue.
I try. I have very few talents, and I don't even know if that's necessarily one of them. So, here's how it's going to work. We will not, first of all, be having in-person class. The exam will be online. For you all who are enrolled in the in-person class, you will be expected to take it at 6:30. You do not need to take, you are not going to, well, I guess you can come here, but you are not necessarily expected or have to be here in person in class. I will work out more details for the online classes. But the midterm exam will be online, so it will be through Canvas. It is worth 50 points. It is set up so that it should last one class period, so about 50 to 60 minutes. I may time it for double that. Of course, to accommodate to those who need accommodations. But so I may time it for 2 hours. You should not need 2 hours. Obviously, I cannot control what else you have with you. I am not going to make you sign on to Zoom. I'm not going to make you do any of that. But pretty much the material, everything that we've covered is possibly on there. It will be a multitude of formats, so there may be some matching, multiple choice, fill in the blank, true, false, and a couple of paragraph response ones. I don't want to say essay. That freaks people out. And I'm not necessarily asking for that much writing anyway. So, of course, be looking at understanding the relationship of revelation, tradition, and scripture. What distinguishes those three, starting from the very beginning of our class? What is revelation? What is tradition? What is scripture? What is distinct about them all, or maybe how they relate? Looking at the principles of inspiration. What is inspiration? Why is inspiration so important to understand the Bible, especially the New Testament in our particular context? Be able to know the importance of the Old Testament story. So the major events. Understanding a little bit about the senses of Scripture as well. Then diving into the New Testament world. What are the various influences that shape the world in which the New Testament was written? The Greeks, the Romans, the Jews. Then we began to dive into the Gospels. Be able to know some of the basic information from the Gospel table, or at least to bring it up. No, I am not going to ask you to fill out the entire table. You're welcome. Bribes are always accepted. But you may match based on something like that, match the name to the implied author, or the name to when they wrote. something like that. Understand some of the overviews of all of them. I mean, what are their major themes? You may be asked to write on a specific one, just offer a few details on one of them. Then we dove into the text itself. We started with the birth narratives. Understand a little bit about what's happening in those narratives. The baptism and the temptation, what happens in those events. Then looking at some of the teachings of Jesus. What are the summation of his teaching? The Beatitudes, what are they called? The importance of his disciples. His use of parables. What is a parable? Why are parables so important? Then ending with the material that we've looked at in this week. The miracles, the wonders, the healing miracles, the nature miracles, and even some about the devil and exorcisms. What is so important? What happens in these things? Okay.
When will the exam be? Because I have my 8-week class ending.
I will work on something for the online class. I will send that out when I post the links and whatnot in the morning.
Okay. So would it be good to just go back over all the little participation assignments and then like our notes and stuff as
The
well?
participation assignments can be very helpful indeed.
Okay.
I will do one video lesson that will be due after the exam, but it won't be a full class. So I'm going to treat it as if, because that would normally be how it would happen. We'd have, if we were divided into at least 2 sessions a week, one session would be the exam, and then there'd be another session. But I will make that lesson will be just posted up to the internet to be viewed. Okay? The exam is next week. It will be next Tuesday. It may be available at some different times, and I may put that up for you all as well. You all who are in the in-person class should be able to take it at 6:30. If you are having, if for some reason you cannot, contact me. Let me know. For the other online sections, I will work something out with each one of them. All right. If there are any questions, if there are any worries, if there are any concerns, contact me, email me. We can set up a meeting if you're worried. Everything should be graded and done in time for you to be able to see that. If nothing else, then I will talk to you all next time.